Hello, it's Concord Wind. Um, yeah, my sleeping schedule is starting to kind of fix a little bit because my neighbor called me and woke me up today and at 1 o'clock, and so I just went ahead and got up. I was like, yeah, I'll just get up. Um, I prepared a passage of God's words. um, so let's just read it. How does God approach and deal with people's various attitudes? Having provided people with a great number of truths, God's attitude toward them is merely to watch and keep a record. As for what people choose or what their attitude is, God does not intervene. This matter has nothing to do with God. What then does this matter have to do with? It has to do with what path you choose, what you ultimately gain, and your own final outcome. On this matter, God does not do any extra facilitative work. He only fulfills the responsibilities and obligations that he should fulfill. After he has provided you with the truth and told you the principles for dealing with all kinds of people, events, and things, he may also set up environments for you. However, God does not intervene with exactly what final choices you make or what kind of path you take. He lets you choose for yourself. If you are elected to be a leader or worker, for example, you can choose to act according to the truth principles and the work arrangements of God's house, or to act arbitrarily and recklessly according to your own preferences. If you choose to handle everything according to the truth principles and do your duty according to the work arrangements, God will observe and keep a record of this, and eventually you will have gained the truth and submitted to God. This is one outcome. If you do things according to your own will and act arbitrarily and recklessly, violating the work arrangements of God's house and the truth principles, this is also a choice, and it represents the path that you are taking, and God will likewise observe and keep a record of it. And of course, it goes without saying what your outcome will be. If you have gained the truth in life, this will also enable you to gain God's approval and secure you a good destination. Amen. You know, when it comes to preferences, like that's very interesting. Those words are very interesting because I work according to truth principles, and one of the truth principles that I apply is wisdom. But I also sometimes work according to my preferences. But when I do that, my conscience affects me, and I feel regret. Like I make rap music, and I don't like rap music. Rap music isn't my preference. I don't like it, but that's what I make. Because I know other people like it, and that's a truth principle I'm putting into practice, which is rebelling against my own preferences to apply wisdom, to provide, God's words and understanding of God's words in a genre that people like. And people like rap music, and I don't like it, but other people do, so I go ahead and make it for them. But like the color-based songs that I've made recently, that is according to my preference. I mean, that's not something that's very popular. That's not something that people listen to, and I really regret working for within my preferences to make those songs. I mean, because it's not what people like, and I mean, even though I wasn't entirely working towards my preferences. I mean, at least I didn't feel I was in the moment, because the truth principle that I was putting into practice was just to offer God the best, like Abel did. Abel was righteous and offered God the best, which is precisely why Cain's offering was rejected, because Cain offered up to God what was, the like the vegetables and stuff that were going bad. And see, to me, because I prefer like electronic music, to me, like the color base is like offering God the best, and that's the principle I put into practice with that. But it's, practicing that principle was tainted with my preference because I just assume it's the best because I think it's the best. That doesn't mean it's the best, Um, so I definitely have a goal, I have a path, I have a pursuit, and it's very interesting to know that God doesn't intervene in the choices we make. Though I ask him to intervene because I don't trust myself. So I just commit myself to God and pour myself into doing my duty and practicing the truth. Because I trust God, I don't trust myself. I've just let myself down too many times. And I have a lot of doubts about myself. I second guess myself all the time. Because I just question if I'm really doing things according to principles. Because, it's scary. It's really scary. I mean, that's where the fear of God comes from, is if you don't act according to principles, you can't secure a good destination. Not that that's the goal, but a good destination is definitely a byproduct of practicing the truth, and it's a very positive thing, and it's something that's in line with God's will, and it's something that benefits humanity, and it's something that provides impunity to man, and I'm not working for impunity. I'm working to satisfy God's intentions. And I'm working to contribute to mankind. And if God sends me to hell, then, I'll know in my heart that I did my best. And I'll just pray in hell that God doesn't let me stay there forever. That God destroys me after some time, but I won't argue with God. I won't curse God. I won't be the one that gnashes my teeth, beating my chest, gnashing my teeth, yelling angrily at God or whatever. Like, I wouldn't be like that, I would just I would say God is righteous and I deserve this. If God determines that I deserve this, then I deserve it. And I would ask the demons to show me all the things I did wrong. I would want to know where I messed up, and I just pray that God shows me if I'm doing anything wrong, I just pray God shows me what I'm doing wrong before that day comes, because I really don't want to go to hell. But if I go to hell, I'll submit to God, because God is righteous, and I believe He is righteous. Even if He sends me to hell, He's righteous. I really believe that, and I'm just loyal and committed to God. And but let's be real here. God's probably not gonna send me to hell, because my intentions are to contribute to mankind. My intentions are to contribute to God's management plan. My intentions are to be like Job, to be like Peter, to offer supreme love for God, to do lots of work like Paul. But unlike Paul, I won't seek a crown. Even if I get to be by God's side amidst suffering, if that's my place in heaven, is a place of suffering for me, as long as I get to talk with God and hear His voice and have a relationship with Him, I don't mind suffering alongside Him. I don't expect heaven to be this perfect, beautiful, peaceful, wonderful place, this just pure ecstasy, like people imagine it to be, Although that is probably how it is, interestingly enough, but I don't expect that, you know what I mean? Because I want God to know that I'm not working for rewards. I just want my family. God is my family. And to be with God is the right that God bestows upon every person who truly loves God. And I want to, apply my right to be with God that He bestows upon me. I want to apply that right. I want to use that right. I want to be with Him. And so, that's the only reason I want to go to heaven. It's not for ecstasy or bliss. It's just to be with God because I love Him and I think He's the most special, precious, most wonderful thing ever, He's not a thing. He's a person, I guess. Well, he's a God. He's God. He's the creator. But, He is the most beautiful God, the only God. And I just want to offer up sincere praise because everything He's done in my life, whether He has cursed me or blessed me, I see that it is all for my benefit. I guess that's not true. I guess I can't see how it's in my benefit. I know in my heart it's all for my benefit, but in the moment, I can't see how it's for my benefit. I can't see the logic behind it, which God doesn't work according to logic. So that's why I can't see any logic behind it. But I know when He took my Facebook away, that was to remove a temptation I couldn't overcome. See, that's coffee. Coffee stain thing. Like my teaspoon that I use to scoop my instant coffee. Let me just show you guys. It gets all over my hands anytime I touch it. Look at that. I try to clean it, but it's just so goopy. It's like tar. And it's not like it's getting wet when I use it to scoop the coffee. It's just it's like some type of chemical reaction the instant coffee has with the aluminum on the teaspoon, or something. I don't know what it is, but it's just when it touches the teaspoon, it turns to goop. Not instantly. It has to sit on the teaspoon for a while, and then it turns to goop. And it gets all over my hands. Probably touching it just now probably got it on me. But anytime I make coffee, I get it on my hands. So, yeah, it's really weird. See, it's really hard to get off the skin too. You see, it's not coming off. It's just so goopy. Weird. All right. I guess that's it for this video. I feel really gross. For those of you that have watched the video all the way up to this point, I'm going to share some private information that I probably shouldn't share. I don't know, but I just feel really gross because I haven't showered in a while, man. I'm just going to be honest. I cover myself in essential oils like it says to do in the Bible. That's how people used to clean themselves, and I still feel gross. I cover myself in lemon oil. And I smell like lemons. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know why I shared that. You guys probably could have lived the rest of your lives without knowing that. This is TMI, but I don't know. I just wanted to share it for some reason. And it's not that I'm depressed. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me. They say it's a symptom of schizophrenia and bipolar and stuff to not shower. But I know a lot of young people or middle-aged people, like millennials and stuff, that don't shower. It's very common. Even my sister, she's a clean freak, and she doesn't even shower every day. She uses dry shampoo to clean her hair so that she doesn't have to shower. And it's like, man, my sister is the last person I would think that wouldn't shower every day, because she is a clean freak. you know? She gets it from my dad. My dad's a clean freak. And my mom's a clean freak. But like my dad and my sister are worse than my mom. And my mom's really bad. But my dad and my sister are really bad. I mean, like my sister will use Germ-X at the gym. And then when she gets in the car, spray her hands with alcohol. And, I mean, it's just kind of nuts, a little extreme. But don't have to worry about them getting sick, I guess, unless God arranges it. God can bypass alcohol and Germ-X and all that, you know. If God wants you to get sick, you'll get sick. So... And it's not necessarily that he wants people to get sick. It's just that his righteous disposition determines that it's necessary for a person to get sick at a certain time. So, yeah, and sickness and stuff is preordained by God. What we suffer in this life is preordained by God. So, that's why you shouldn't try to avoid suffering. You should accept suffering. And you should accept it as beneficial to your life, because though it's preordained, God still works in the present and uses it to teach us lessons. If we can learn lessons, I'll be honest with you guys, and I'm always honest, but I'm just saying that, you know, I'm being frank right now, is that got a hair in my mouth. I don't always learn lessons from everything that happens to me. Sometimes all I learn is like what I already know, basically, is like, okay, I'm suffering, but this is for my benefit. And I'll say, God, thank you. And so it just becomes, instead of a lesson, it becomes more of like an opportunity to bear testimony in front of Satan, to bear witness to God in front of Satan. That's what it becomes. It just becomes an opportunity instead of a lesson. And that happens quite a bit, probably most of the time. Most of the time when I encounter suffering, it's more an opportunity to bear testimony, to bear witness, to, you know, practice the truth. And, you know, I don't learn anything from it. So, but sometimes I learn lessons. Like I learned when, what was it? When the music I was making wasn't, you know, there was these 2 songs I worked on that I was very unhappy with, very disappointed in, and it was a reminder and it was affirmation for me that, like, okay, now I have experience that God cannot be ordered around, and he makes his own choices. He is totally independent, and he is not influenced, you know, by the will of man. God has his own will, and his will is not influenced by the will of man. So you may have desires, and you may bring those desires to God, and you may ask for God to fulfill those desires. It doesn't mean he will. And that's something that I knew in theory, but I didn't have experience with it, you know, as much. Well, I had experience with God not bringing me a wife. I did have experience with it, but I was in psychosis when I had those experiences. So, you know, I wasn't clear-headed enough to really absorb it and take it in, but with that experience with the music, I was like, yeah, can't make demands of God. I mean, I see that, you know, because I was like, with my words, I was asking for God's will to be done in the music, but in my heart, I was asking for God to bless the music. And so there was some distance, you know, there was a disparity between my heart and my words. You know, my words and my heart were not totally in line with each other, because in my heart I wanted God to bless the music, and that's what I was really asking for, but I was sugarcoating it with, you know, may God's will be done in the music, and God saw through my words and saw down to my heart, you know. And like I was thinking about last night, I'm so thankful God judges our intentions and judges our hearts. Because, you know, intentions are of the heart, and God sees the heart and judges the heart. that's primarily what God judges, is the heart, So yeah, I'm very thankful for that, because I know my heart's in the right place. I mean, I guess sometimes my heart is a little confused, like with asking God to bless my music. But I mean, my intentions were right, but my heart was still misguided to think that it could make demands of God, or ask something of God, and really, you can't do that. I mean, I guess you can ask something of God, but you have to emphasize that you'll be okay if He doesn't fulfill your question, or answer your desire, and you have to be okay whether God fulfills your desires or not. You have to submit to God either way, because to complain against God, it hurts His feelings to complain against Him, because He knows He has the best intentions. So when His intentions are misunderstood, it hurts His feelings, and I don't want that. I don't want to ever bring any pain upon God. I just want to bring Him joy and peace and happiness, and I want to help Him enter into rest sooner, because He deserves it. He's so good. He deserves to be happy. So, anyways, yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks so much for watching. May God's will be done in all of your lives, and goodbye.